Stop. Do not move forward another second. I am speaking to you now, and heaven itself is watching what you choose to do in the next 5 minutes. I am not whispering, and I am non-distant. I am interrupting you on purpose. Everything inside you that feels suddenly alert, uneasy, curious, or stirred is responding to my voice. This is not an accident, and this is not emotional coincidence. I have stepped into your moment because I can no longer allow you to move ahead unaware. Where you are standing right now is more important than you realize, and what you do immediately after hearing these words will matter far beyond today. I need you to stop running, stop scrolling, stop pushing forward on instinct, and listen with your whole heart. This is not a message you casually consume. This is a moment that demands your attention because the direction of your life is pressing against it. You asked for a sign, even if you did not say the words out loud. You asked in exhaustion, in confusion, in silent frustration, in the ache of waiting longer than you thought you could endure. You asked when you wondered why nothing seemed to move, why clarity felt just out of reach, why your spirit felt heavy even when you tried to stay strong. And hear me clearly now. This is not coincidence. I am desperately trying to reach you before you miss what I have prepared. Not because I am afraid of losing you, but because I see what lies ahead and I know how easily it can be delayed if you look away now. I have been patient, gentle, persistent, but now I speak with urgency, because the season you are entering will not wait for divided attention. If you ignore this moment, you will delay what I am ready to release. This is not a threat. It is truth spoken in love. There are times when grace allows repetition, and there are times when alignment requires response. You are standing in one of those moments where delay does not destroy the promise, but it postpones the fulfillment and multiplies the weight you have been carrying. Your breakthrough is tied to your attention right now. Not to your effort, not to your perfection, not to how strong you feel, but to whether you are willing to pause and listen when I speak. You have been praying for movement, yet resisting stillness. You have been asking for clarity, yet rushing past my voice. I am calling you to stop, because what I am about to release cannot land in a distracted heart. I cannot leave this unspoken any longer. I have waited because I am patient, not because I was silent. I have watched you wrestle, grow tired, question yourself, and try to make sense of things with limited vision. I have seen you doubt your instincts, second-guess your prayers, and carry burdens you were never meant to carry alone. And now I tell you plainly, what I am about to reveal will determine the direction of your life. Not in a dramatic, theatrical way, but in a deep, foundational way that quietly shapes every decision you make from here forward. This is a turning point, even if it does not feel like one yet. The most important shifts rarely announce themselves with noise. They arrive as invitations that require courage to accept. Do not scroll away. Do not delay. Do not tell yourself you will come back to this later, because later is how moments like this are lost. What you do after hearing this will either open a door or close it. Not because I withdraw my love, but because alignment matters. Doors open when hearts are ready to walk through them, and readiness is not about confidence, it is about willingness. You do not need to understand everything I am doing, but you do need to stay present. You do not need to feel brave, but you do need to stay open. Right now, your spirit is being invited into a deeper awareness, and the enemy would love nothing more than for you to dismiss this as just another message. Listen to me. I know you are tired. I know you have been holding yourself together longer than anyone realizes. I know you have smiled when you wanted to rest, stayed quiet when you wanted to ask for help, and kept going when your soul felt thin. I know the questions you ask at night when no one hears them. I know the fear you do not say out loud, the worry that maybe you missed something, maybe you waited too long, maybe you are behind. And that is exactly why I am stopping you now. Not to accuse you, but to realign you. Not to overwhelm you, but to steady you. Heaven is watching not because you are being judged, but because you are being invited. Angels are attentive to moments like this, moments when a heart is close to either breakthrough or burnout. You are not weak for feeling this tension. It means you are close to something new. But closeness requires choice. I will not force you. Love never does. I place truth before you and allow you to respond. The next 5 minutes are not about rushing into action. They are about surrendering attention, about letting your spirit come back into alignment with mine. I am not asking you to fix your life in 5 minutes. I am asking you to stop pretending you do not need me in this moment. I am asking you to stop numbing what you feel and start listening to why you feel it. I am asking you to let go of the urge to control outcomes and instead receive direction. There is a difference between movement and progress, and you have been moving for a long time. Now I am calling you into progress. Comment Jesus, I'm nothing without you if He is your only foundation. Do not underestimate how much can change when you choose to stay present with me instead of escaping discomfort. The discomfort you feel right now is not danger, it is awareness. Something inside you already knows that this moment matters. That is why your heart is beating a little differently. That is why your thoughts feel interrupted. That is why you did not scroll away immediately. You are not here by chance. You are here because I drew you here. I am not angry with you. I am not disappointed. I am attentive. I am focused on you. And I am asking you to trust me enough to pause, to breathe, to listen without planning your next move. You do not need to impress me. You do not need to prove your faith. You only need to stay. Stay with me at this moment. Stay open. Stay honest. Stay willing. Because what comes next will not be forced, but it will be offered. And offers from heaven require recognition. This is me getting your attention, because what is ahead of you is too important to stumble into blindly. I love you too much to stay quiet. I love you too much to let you drift. I love you enough to interrupt you now. So stop. Stay here. Listen. Your life is not about to end. It is about to change direction. And everything depends on whether you choose to hear me now. Stop where you are. Do not take another step forward in thought, in motion, or in decision. I am speaking to you now, and this moment is not random. It is not emotion rising in you, and it is not the result of persuasive words. This is a deliberate interruption, placed into your path by heaven itself. I have stepped into your flow because I can no longer allow you to keep moving the way you have been moving. You have been drifting more than you realize, not away from me in rebellion, but away from awareness through exhaustion. Your spirit has been worn thin by noise, by responsibility, by expectation, by the quiet pressure to keep going even when you are tired. I see it clearly, and I tell you now, I will not remain silent while you slowly lose clarity under the weight you were never meant to carry. This interruption is not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you. You have been overwhelmed, pulled in too many directions at once, distracted not by evil but by urgency, by the constant demand to respond, decide, react, and endure. Over time, this has dulled your sensitivity, not your love for me, but your attentiveness to me. You have still believed, still hoped, still prayed, but you have been doing it while running. And now I stop you because running has kept you from hearing what you need to hear. I am not raising my voice because I am angry. I am speaking urgently because time matters in ways you cannot yet see. Hear me clearly. This moment is not symbolic. It is not a motivational pause or a comforting reflection. The next 5 minutes are spiritually decisive. They are not dramatic because of what you will feel, but because of what will shift when you choose to listen instead of rushing past. I am not speaking about 5 minutes on a clock. I am speaking about the posture of your heart right now. Whether you stay open or close yourself, whether you receive or dismiss, whether you obey or delay. These choices shape paths long before results become visible. I know how tired you are. I know how often you have told yourself, just a little longer, just one more push, just get through this season. I know how you have learned to survive by pushing feelings aside and focusing on what must be done. You did not do this because you stopped trusting me. You did it because you felt you had to be strong. But strength without rest becomes numbness, and numbness makes it harder to recognize when I am moving. That is why I interrupt you now. Because what is coming next in your life cannot be navigated on autopilot. You have been drifting, not in direction, but in depth. Still moving forward, still functioning, but less present, less centered, less aware of the quiet signals I have been sending you. You felt it in moments of restlessness you could not explain, in the sense that something was off even when things looked fine, in the subtle heaviness that settled on you without a clear cause. Those were not signs of failure. They were signs that you needed to stop and listen. I was trying to reach you gently, but now I reach you clearly. Please support our channel. Our work is to bring happiness into your life and help you grow in devotion to God. If you wish, you can show your support by donating through Super Thanks. Do not mistake this urgency for pressure. Pressure comes from fear. Urgency comes from love that knows what is at stake. I am not trying to rush you into reckless action. I am calling you into immediate attention. There is a difference. Attention precedes wisdom. Obedience follows clarity. But clarity does not come to those who refuse to pause. You have been asking for answers while staying in motion, and now I ask you to stand still long enough to receive them. This interruption is orchestrated by heaven because what you are carrying cannot come with you into what is ahead. The pace you have been living at cannot sustain the path I am opening. The noise around you has made it difficult for you to discern which thoughts are yours, which are fear, and which are my leading. That confusion is not your fault, but it must be addressed now. Not later, not when things slow down, because they will not slow down on their own. You must choose stillness when I invite it. I am stopping you because obedience matters now. Not perfect obedience, not dramatic obedience, but simple, immediate obedience to pause, to listen, to resist the urge to multitask this moment away. When I say time matters, I do not mean you are running out of time. I mean that alignment happens in moments like this, when you choose me over momentum, when you choose awareness over habit, when you choose trust over control. You may feel a tension inside you right now, a pull between staying here and moving on. That tension is not weakness. It is the sign that something important is happening. Part of you knows this moment matters. Another part of you wants to minimize it, to label it as just another message, just another pause. That second voice is not wisdom. It is fatigue trying to protect itself from change. Do not let tiredness make your decisions for you. I am not manipulating your emotions. I am not using urgency to trap you. I am revealing reality. You are at a point where continuing as you have been will cost you more than stopping ever could. Cost you clarity, cost you peace, cost you alignment. I am not asking you to abandon your responsibilities. I am asking you to reorder your attention. Because when you pay attention to shapes what you become. The next 5 minutes matter because they set a tone. A tone of listening instead of reacting. A tone of trust instead of striving. A tone of obedience instead of delay. Delay has felt safe to you because it postpones discomfort, but it also postpones growth. There are things I am ready to reveal that cannot be heard by a distracted heart. There are directions I am ready to give that will not make sense unless you are fully present. I know you have been worn down. I know you have been carrying questions without answers and answers without peace. I know you have felt stretched, pulled, and pressured to keep everything together. I see how much effort it has taken just to function. That is why I interrupt you now, not to add another demand, but to remove what has been quietly draining you. Silence is not absence. Stillness is not loss of progress. Often, it is the doorway to it. This is me stepping in front of you and saying, stop. Look at me. Listen to me. Let me recalibrate you before you take another step. Not because you have failed, but because you are about to move into something that requires a clear heart and a steadier pace. What lies ahead will require discernment, not speed. It will require trust, not constant analysis. And that begins here, in this interruption. Stay with me in this moment. Do not rush to interpret, explain, or apply. Simply receive. Let your breathing slow. Let your thoughts settle. Let the urgency draw you closer instead of pushing you away. I am not taking something from you. I am preparing you. And preparation always begins with attention. This is the divine interruption. And it is happening because you matter too much to be left on autopilot. I am desperately trying to get your attention because I have been speaking to you far longer than you realize, and I do not want you to misunderstand what has been happening in your life. You thought it was stress piling up. You thought it was confusion, fatigue, mental overload, or the weight of too many responsibilities. You told yourself you were just tired, just overwhelmed, just going through another difficult stretch. But listen to me now with honesty in your heart. What you have been feeling was not random strain. It was spiritual pressure. It was the signal of a shift drawing near, the tension that comes when something old can no longer contain what I am preparing to do next. I have tried to speak to you gently at first. I whispered through delays that did not make sense, moments when progress suddenly slowed no matter how hard you tried. I spoke through restlessness that followed you even into moments of quiet, when your body rested but your spirit would not settle. I nudged you through repeated thoughts that returned again and again, ideas and questions you kept pushing aside because you did not feel ready to face them. I placed closed doors in front of you not to frustrate you, but to protect you, to keep you from paths that would drain you further. I allowed a discomfort to remain that would not go away, not because I wanted you to suffer, but because I wanted you to stop. Each time, I hoped you would pause and ask me what I was showing you. Each time, I waited for you to turn toward me instead of pushing through on your own strength. But you are resilient, and resilience can become a hiding place. You learned how to endure without slowing down, how to keep functioning even when your soul was asking for rest. And so you called it exhaustion. You called it pressure. You called it life being hard. But beneath all of that was my hand, steady and persistent, trying to redirect you before the cost of ignoring me grew heavier. Do you know why I am desperate now? Because I see the distance growing between where you are and where I am leading you, not in physical steps, but in alignment. Alignment is delicate. It is not lost in one dramatic act of disobedience. It is lost slowly, through postponement, through distraction, through the habit of saying later when I am saying now. And I love you too much to let that drift continue unnoticed. I am not angry that you did not recognize my voice at first. I understand how loud the world has been around you. I understand how survival mode dulls spiritual sensitivity. But I grieve when you ignore me, not because my authority is challenged, but because your peace is delayed. My grief is not the grief of rejection, but the grief of watching someone I love carry weight they were never meant to carry alone. When you push past me, you do not become stronger. You become heavier. And I see that heaviness settling into your thoughts, your emotions, your body. I tried to speak to you through moments when things did not work out the way you planned. You blamed yourself. You assumed you missed something or failed to try hard enough. But often, it was me slowing you down because you were running towards something that looked right but was misaligned with what I was preparing. I tried to speak through interruptions, through plans that fell apart, through timing that felt off. Each delay was not resistance. It was redirection. Each closed door was not rejection. It was mercy. I spoke through the quiet dissatisfaction you could not explain. Even when you achieved what you once prayed for, something inside you still felt unsettled. That was not ingratitude. That was discernment waking up. You sensed there was more, but more required change, and change required stillness. So instead of stopping, you filled the space with noise, with busyness, with distraction. And the more you distracted yourself, the louder the pressure became. I am desperately trying to get your attention, because pressure is not meant to be permanent. Pressure is a signal. It signals that something must shift. Either your pace, your priorities, your posture, or your path. When pressure is ignored, it turns into exhaustion. When exhaustion is ignored, it turns into numbness. And numbness makes it harder to hear me at all. I do not want you to reach that place. You have wondered why your prayers felt unanswered. They were not unanswered. They were being approached from a heart that was too tired to listen for the response. You asked me to guide you, but you did not slow down long enough to be guided. You asked me to speak, but you filled every quiet moment with noise. This is not condemnation. This is clarity. I am showing you why I am interrupting you now instead of later. Continued ignoring does not make me leave. It makes alignment harder to recover. The longer you postpone responding, the more effort it takes to return to the path I am showing you. Not because I withdraw grace, but because habits solidify, distractions deepen, and fear gains a stronger voice. I want to spare you that struggle. I want to meet you here, in awareness, before correction becomes painful. Right, Lord, breathe new life into me if you're longing for His renewal. I am desperate for your attention because I see what is ahead, and I know how easily you could miss it if you remain in the rhythm you have been living. What I am preparing will require discernment, not just endurance. It will require clarity, not just effort. It will require intimacy with me, not just belief in me. And intimacy cannot grow in a heart that never stops long enough to listen. Every time you felt a nudge to reconsider something and ignored it, I stayed. Every time you sensed a need to rest and pushed through instead, I stayed. Every time you felt that quiet inner voice telling you something needed to change, and you silenced it with logic or obligation, I stayed. My persistence is not fragile, but your alignment is precious, and it requires your participation. I am not trying to scare you. I am trying to save you time, pain, and unnecessary struggle. I am trying to pull you back into rhythm with me before you burn out in a place I never called you to stay. I see the version of you that is emerging under pressure, and I know it is not the fullness of who I created you to be. That fullness requires rest, attention, and obedience in small moments like this one. This is why I am desperate now. Not because something terrible will happen if you do not listen, but because something beautiful will be delayed if you do not. And I do not want you to arrive late to what I prepared on time. I do not want you to look back and realize you mistook my invitations for inconvenience. I do not want you to normalize a level of strain I never intended for you to carry. I am calling your attention back to me because when you listen, pressure turns into direction. Confusion turns into clarity. Exhaustion turns into rest. The things you thought were breaking you were actually trying to bend you toward me. I was not pushing you away. I was drawing you closer. So hear me now. Not with fear, but with trust. Not with guilt, but with openness. I am not desperate because I am losing control. I am desperate because I love you, and I see the cost of continued misalignment. Stay with me. Let me speak. Let me lead. What you called stress was the signal. What you called exhaustion was a warning. What you are feeling now is the invitation. There is something I cannot leave unspoken any longer, and I need you to hear this without fear, without defensiveness, and without rushing to protect yourself from the weight of it. I have held this truth back, not because I was uncertain, and not because I was absent, but because you were not yet ready to receive it without misinterpreting my heart. Silence in this season was mercy. It was restraint born from love. I knew that if I spoke too soon, you would hear correction where there was invitation, pressure where there was protection, and urgency where there was tenderness. So I waited. I stayed close, even when you felt distance. I watched, even when you thought I was quiet. And now, because your spirit is awake enough to hear me rightly, I speak. My silence was never abandonment. It was timing. It was me shielding you from information that would have overwhelmed you before it could help you. There are truths that cannot be carried by tired heart without becoming burdens, and I refuse to place unnecessary weight on you. I waited until you were strong enough to listen without collapsing, and humble enough to listen without resisting. That time is now. Here is what I must tell you plainly. A door is opening, and another door is closing. This is not symbolic language meant to inspire emotion. This is reality unfolding in your life. The opening is real, and so is the closing. And because of that, neutrality is no longer possible. You cannot stand in between and hope to benefit from both directions. You got a one video. This is not because I am forcing you forward, but because seasons themselves move, and remaining still eventually places you behind. The door that is closing is not evil. It is familiar. It is what you know how to survive in. It is the version of life where you have learned to manage strain, tolerate imbalance, and function without fullness. It is the place where you became strong out of necessity, but also weary from carrying more than you should. I allowed you to stay there for a time because it taught you endurance. But endurance without transition becomes stagnation. And stagnation, over time, steals joy, clarity, and peace so gradually that you barely notice it happening. The door that is opening requires something different from you. It does not require perfection, but it does require movement. It requires trust where you have relied on control. It requires presence where you have relied on momentum. It requires obedience where you have relied on delay. This door does not open to people who wait until they feel ready. It opens to those who respond when they are called. I need you to understand this carefully. Delay is not rebellion, but it is costly. Not costly in punishment, but in positioning. Every season has a rhythm, and when you move out of rhythm, you expend more energy for less fruit. That is what you have been feeling. You have been doing more, thinking more, trying more, yet feeling less peace, less satisfaction, less clarity. That is not because you are failing. It is because you are slightly out of alignment, and alignment matters more than effort. I am not angry with you for hesitating. I know why you hesitate. You have been disappointed before. You have stepped forward in faith and been misunderstood. You have trusted and been wounded. You have obeyed and waited longer than you thought was fair. So you learn to pause, to analyze, to protect yourself by not moving too quickly. I see that. I honor the wisdom you gained through pain. But wisdom that never moves becomes fear wearing the mask of caution. This is why I can no longer remain silent. Because continued delay will not keep you safe. It will slowly drain your momentum. It will keep you circling questions instead of stepping into answers. It will preserve comfort at the cost of calling. And while I will never withdraw my love from you, I will not pretend that timing does not matter. Peace is not found in standing still forever. Peace is found in walking with me when I say walk. The consequences I speak of are not threats. They are realities. When you delay responding to my leading, you lose the ease that comes with alignment. Decisions become heavier. Discernment becomes foggier. Joy becomes harder to access. You begin to overthink what once felt simple. You begin to feel tired before the day has even begun. That is not because life is too hard. It is because you are carrying resistance alongside responsibility. I want you positioned, not just protected. Protection without positioning keeps you alive but unfulfilled. Positioning places you where provision flows naturally, where peace is not forced, and where obedience feels lighter because it is timely. You have been asking me to restore your peace, but peace is connected to movement when I initiate it. Stillness is powerful when I call you to stop. It becomes harmful when you remain still after I have called you forward. You may be tempted to ask me to make it clearer, louder, more obvious. But clarity is already present. You feel it in the quiet knowing you cannot shake. You feel it in the sense that something is ending even if nothing dramatic has happened yet. You feel it in the restlessness that will not let you settle back into old patterns. That is not anxiety. That is awareness. That is your spirit recognizing that a transition is already underway. I am closing one door not to punish you but to free you. I am opening another not to overwhelm you, but to lead you into greater wholeness. But I will not carry you through it while you resist stepping forward. I walk with you, not instead of you. Obedience is not about proving loyalty. It is about staying in rhythm with my heart. Do not confuse my patience with permission to remain unchained. I am patient because I am loving. But love also tells the truth. And the truth is this: if you keep postponing, you will not lose me, but you will lose momentum. You will not lose your calling, but you will experience it with unnecessary strain. You will not lose purpose, but you will feel increasingly disconnected from the joy of it. I want better for you than survival. I want alignment. I want you positioned where obedience feels like peace instead of pressure. I want you to step through the door that is opening while it is still open, not after you have exhausted yourself trying to keep the old one propped open out of fear. This is why I speak now. Not to rush you, but to wake you. Not to threaten, but to tell you the truth I could not leave unspoken any longer. You are not being pushed out. You are being invited forward. And the invitation will not remain unanswered forever without consequence, not because I am harsh, but because seasons move. Hear me with trust. I am not taking anything from you that you need. I am closing what would eventually drain you. I am opening what will sustain you. But neutrality is no longer an option. You must choose whether you will cling to what is familiar or follow me into what is prepared. I am with you in this choice. I will not abandon you in the transition. But I will not pretend that standing still is harmless when I have already called you forward. Listen now. Respond now. This is mercy speaking before momentum is lost. You are standing at a spiritual crossroad, even if nothing around you looks dramatic or visibly different. Crossroads are rarely marked by noise. They are marked by tension, by awareness, by that quiet sense inside you that says something must be decided, even if you cannot yet name what it is. I brought you here deliberately, not to confuse you, not to rush you, but to reveal what you could not see while you were moving without pause. This is a place where paths diverge, not because one is evil and the other is holy, but because one is aligned with my timing and the other is aligned with your comfort. And you cannot walk both. Say, Father, you're my unshakable hope if you're standing on His promises, and share this video.